there is a special kind of exhaustion that comes from saving people who don't want to be saved. It's not the tiredness that follows a productive day. It's not the fatigue that comes from honest work. It's something else entirely. It's the deep, soul-draining weariness of constantly putting out fires that aren't yours, carrying burdens that were never meant for your shoulders, and pouring yourself into bottomless vessels that never seem to fill. You know this exhaustion intimately, don't you? It's the weight you carry after being everyone's therapist, everyone's savior, everyone's emergency contact. It's waking up already tired because you spent the night worrying about someone else's problems. It's the resentment that builds when you realize you've spent another week, another month, another year managing other people's lives while your own dreams gather dust in the corner. But here's the question that will change everything. What if your compulsion to rescue everyone around you isn't about them at all? What if it's the most sophisticated way you've found to avoid your own life? What if, while you're busy saving everyone else, you're actually running from the one person who truly needs you? Yourself. Carl Jung spent decades studying the hidden patterns that govern human behavior. And he understood something that most people never realize. The role of the rescuer, the savior, the perpetual helper is not noble. It's a prison, and the bars of this prison are made of your own need to be needed, your fear of facing your own emptiness, and your unconscious belief that your worth is measured by how much you sacrifice yourself for others. This video is not about becoming selfish. It's about something far more radical. It's about recognizing that you cannot save anyone, and that trying to do so is destroying both you and them. It's about understanding that your real life, the one you came here to live, cannot begin until you stop playing God in everyone else's story. So I ask you now, looking directly at the truth, how long will you continue to rescue people from lessons they need to learn? How long will you abandon yourself in the name of being there for others? Maybe it's time to drop the cape. Because when you stop rescuing everyone, your real life begins. You have been playing a role for so long that you've forgotten it's a costume. The rescuer, the helper, the one who always shows up, the one who always has time, the one who can't say no. And on the surface, this seems like a beautiful thing. Who wouldn't want to be compassionate, caring, selfless? But Jung would tell you to look deeper, because beneath every compulsion lies a shadow, and the shadow of the rescuer is one of the most deceptive forces in the human psyche. Jung called this the wounded healer complex. It's the archetype of someone who carries a deep, unhealed wound and attempts to heal it by healing others. You see it everywhere. The therapist who can't fix their own relationships. The friend who gives perfect advice but whose life is in chaos. The parent who sacrifices everything for their children while slowly dying inside. The psychology of rescuing is simple but devastating. At some point, usually in childhood, you learned a terrible lesson. You learned that your value, your worthiness of love was conditional. It was based on what you could do for others. Maybe you were praised for being helpful. Maybe you became the family peacemaker, the one who held everyone together. Maybe you discovered that the only time you felt important was when someone needed you. And so you made an unconscious bargain. A deal with yourself that went something like this. If I save you, I matter. If I fix you, I'm worthy. If I take care of you, I deserve to exist. This is not love, this is survival strategy. And it's been running your life ever since. But here's where it gets really dark. The rescuer is not just motivated by compassion. Underneath the surface, there's something else operating. Control, power, superiority. When you position yourself as the savior, you automatically position the other person as helpless, broken, incapable. And in that dynamic, you get to be the strong one, the capable one, the one who has it all together. Jung was ruthless in his honesty about this. He said that often what we call altruism is actually the ego's need to feel superior. The rescuer needs victims. Without someone to save, who are you? What is your identity? What is your purpose? Think about the people in your life right now. The friend who calls you in crisis every week with the same problem. The family member who can't seem to manage their own life. The romantic partner who you're constantly trying to fix. Look closely at these relationships. Because if you're honest, truly honest, you'll see a pattern. They don't actually want your solutions. They want your attention. They want your energy. They want you to do for them what they refuse to do for themselves. And you, despite your exhaustion, despite your resentment, keep showing up. Not because you're kind, but because you're addicted to being needed. This is the trap. And most people live their entire lives inside it without ever seeing the bars. Let's talk about the price you're paying. Because make no mistake, rescuing everyone is not free. It costs you everything. First, there's the exhaustion that never ends. You wake up tired, you go to bed tired. There's no rest because even in your sleep, you're carrying everyone else's problems. Your nervous system is constantly activated, waiting for the next crisis, the next call for help, the next emergency that only you can handle. Then there's the resentment. Oh, the resentment. It builds slowly, quietly, like sediment at the bottom of a river. You don't want to feel it because it contradicts your identity as the good person, the helpful person. But it's there. In the moments when you snap at someone for a small thing. In the bitterness that creeps into your voice. In the secret thought that flashes through your mind. Why doesn't anyone ever help me? But the deepest cost is this. Your own life is on hold. Your dreams, your goals, your potential, all of it sits in the waiting room while you manage everyone else's chaos. You tell yourself it's temporary. You tell yourself that once you help them get through this, once things settle down, once they're okay, then you'll focus on yourself. But that moment never comes. Because there's always another crisis, always another person who needs you, always another reason to postpone your own life. And here's what Jung understood that most people miss. You're not actually fixing in others what's broken. You're fixing in others what you refuse to face in yourself. This is called psychological projection. The chaos you see in their lives is a mirror of the chaos you won't acknowledge in your own. The helplessness you're trying to rescue them from is the helplessness you can't confront within yourself. So you stay busy. You stay needed. You stay in the role. Because if you stopped, if you actually stepped back and looked at your own life, you'd have to face the uncomfortable questions. Who am I beyond this role? What do I actually want? What have I been avoiding by focusing on everyone else? The bitter truth that no one wants to hear is this. They don't get better, and you don't get free. The person you keep saving keeps falling. The dynamic repeats. New people, same role, different stage. Because the real problem isn't them, it's you. It's your need to be the rescuer. And until you address that need, you'll keep attracting people who need rescuing. Jung would say this plainly. Rescuing others is a form of self-abandonment. Every time you prioritize someone else's crisis over your own needs, you betray yourself. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you abandon yourself. Every time you give from an empty cup, you commit an act of violence against your own soul. And your soul keeps score. It manifests as anxiety, depression, unexplained illness, a feeling of emptiness that no amount of helping can fill. Because the one person who truly needs your help, you've been neglecting all along. Now we need to talk about something that might make you uncomfortable. Something that challenges the entire narrative you've built around your rescuing behavior. Some people don't want to be saved. In fact, they're addicted to their problems. This is one of the most difficult truths to accept. We want to believe that everyone wants to heal, grow, and change. That if we just show them the way, Give them the right advice or provide enough support, they'll transform, but it's not true. For many people, their problems serve a function. Their chaos has a purpose. Jung observed that the psyche is always seeking equilibrium, even if that equilibrium looks like dysfunction to the outside world. People adapt to their pain. They build their identity around it. They organize their entire life to accommodate it. And when you try to take it away, you're not just offering help, you're threatening their entire sense of self. Think about the secondary gains of victimhood. When someone is perpetually struggling, they get attention. They get sympathy. They get to avoid responsibility. They have a built-in excuse for why their life isn't working. And most importantly, they never have to face the terrifying possibility of their own power. Because here's the secret. Being a victim is safer than being responsible. Staying broken is easier than doing the hard work of healing. And having someone constantly rescue you means you never have to grow up. And this is where your rescuing becomes toxic. Not to you, to them. Because every time you swoop in to save them, you reinforce their helplessness. Every time you solve their problems, you confirm their belief that they can't do it themselves. Every time you enable their dysfunction, you steal from them the one thing that could actually change their life, the consequences of their own choices. Jung would point to the drama triangle, a concept developed by his intellectual descendants. In any dysfunctional relationship, there are three roles: the victim, the rescuer, and the persecutor. And here's the twist. People rotate through all three. The person you're rescuing today will resent you tomorrow. They'll make you the villain in their story. And suddenly, you're not the savior anymore. You're the one who's controlling, who's interfering, who doesn't understand. This is why the dynamic never resolves. Because it's not about actually helping. It's about maintaining a dance where everyone gets to avoid their real work. Your help keeps them helpless. Your constant availability makes them dependent. Your inability to let them fail robs them of the growth that only comes through struggle. You think you're being loving, but you're actually being cruel. Because real love doesn't do for others what they can do for themselves. Real love allows people to face their own consequences, make their own mistakes, and find their own strength. And the moment you truly understand this, everything shifts. You realize that you can't save anyone. You can't fix anyone. You can't heal anyone who doesn't want to heal themselves. The only person you can save is you. And that's where the real work begins. So let's go deeper. Let's talk about what you're really running from. Because the compulsion to rescue others is never really about them. It's a defense mechanism, a sophisticated form of avoidance. And what you're avoiding is the most important thing in your life: yourself. Jung called this the process of individuation, the journey of becoming who you truly are. And it's the hardest work a human being can do. It requires you to face your shadow, your denied parts. It demands that you integrate your wounds rather than project them onto others. It asks you to sit with your own emptiness instead of filling it with other people's drama. But most people never do this work. Because it's terrifying. It means confronting the question, who am I when I'm not needed? And for the chronic rescuer, this question is existential. Your entire identity is built on being useful, being helpful, being the one people turn to. Strip that away and what's left? This is the core wound, the fear beneath all the rescuing. If I'm not needed, I don't matter. If I'm not fixing someone, I have no value. If I'm not carrying someone else's burden, I have no purpose. And so you keep yourself busy. You keep yourself needed. You focus on everyone else's problems because it's easier than facing your own. Their chaos is a convenient distraction from the unlived life waiting in your own shadows. What dreams have you postponed? What gifts have you left undeveloped? What version of yourself is still waiting to emerge? These questions are uncomfortable. They require you to acknowledge that while you've been busy saving everyone else, you've been neglecting the one life you actually have responsibility for, your own. Jung was clear about this. You cannot become whole while carrying others' burdens. You cannot individuate while you're merged with everyone else's problems. You cannot discover your authentic self while you're performing the role of savior. There's a profound identity crisis that happens when a chronic rescuer begins to pull back. Because for so long, being needed has been your source of worth. Being indispensable has been your security. Being the helper has been your mask. And when you start to remove that mask, you have to face what's underneath. The parts of you that feel inadequate. The parts that feel unlovable unless you're earning love through service. The parts that are terrified of being ordinary. This is why most people don't change, because the pain of staying the same, while intense, is familiar. But the pain of transformation is unknown, and humans fear the unknown more than they fear suffering. But there comes a moment, if you're lucky, when the question becomes unavoidable. What would I do with my life if I stopped managing everyone else's? Who would I become if I reclaimed all the energy I've been giving away? What could I create if I devoted to myself even half the time and attention I've devoted to rescuing others? This is the moment everything can change. This is the threshold, and you're standing on it right now. So what actually happens when you stop rescuing? What does liberation look like? First, there's chaos. Let's be honest about this. When you stop playing your role, the system goes into shock. The people who have depended on you will not be happy. They'll accuse you of changing, of being selfish, of abandoning them. They'll escalate their crises. They'll try to pull you back in because your rescuing served them and now you're disrupting the arrangement. And you'll feel guilt, tremendous guilt, because you've been conditioned to believe that saying no is cruel, that having boundaries is selfish, that taking care of yourself is neglecting others. The guilt will whisper that you're a bad person, that you're doing the wrong thing, that you should go back to the way things were. But here's what you need to understand. This guilt is not the truth. It's the death rattle of a false identity. It's the old role fighting for survival. And if you can move through it, if you can sit with the discomfort without rescuing yourself back into the pattern, something remarkable happens. People start taking responsibility for their own lives. The friend who called you every week with the same problem, they either figure it out or find a new person to drain. The family member you've been enabling, they either get help or continue suffering, but it's no longer your job to manage it. The person you've been trying to fix, they either do the work themselves or they don't. But either way, it's not on you. This is what Jung meant by allowing. When you stop interfering, when you stop trying to control outcomes, when you let people face the natural consequences of their choices, you're actually giving them the greatest gift possible. The opportunity to grow, the chance to discover their own strength, the space to become responsible for themselves. And here's the paradox. When you stop trying to save everyone, you actually become more genuinely helpful. Because the help you offer now comes from a full cup, not an empty one. It comes from choice, not compulsion. It comes from genuine care, not from a need to be needed. Setting boundaries is an act of love, for yourself, obviously, but also for others, because boundaries teach people how to treat you. They model self-respect. They demonstrate that it's possible to care about someone without sacrificing yourself. And for people who have never learned this, your boundaries might be the most important lesson they ever receive. The practical steps are simple but not easy. You start saying no, not with long explanations or justifications, just no. You allow consequences. When someone makes a choice, you let them experience the result without swooping in to save them. You withdraw emotional management. You stop trying to regulate other people's feelings, control their reactions, or prevent their discomfort. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, you transform from rescuer to witness. You become someone who can be present with others without taking responsibility for them. You can care without carrying. You can love without losing yourself. This is maturity. This is what it means to be truly helpful. Not doing for others what they should do for themselves, but standing beside them as they do the hard work. Not carrying their burden, but believing in their capacity to carry their own. And in this space, in this withdrawal from the rescuer role, you reclaim something precious. Your energy, your time, your life force. All the power you've been giving away, you take back. And with that power, you can finally begin to live your own life. And this is where everything changes. This is where your real life begins. When you stop rescuing everyone, you discover something you may have forgotten. You exist. Not as a function, not as a role, not as someone's support system, but as a whole, complex, sovereign human being with your own needs, your own dreams, your own purpose. The space that opens up when you stop managing everyone else's chaos is vast. And at first, it might feel uncomfortable. You might not know what to do with yourself. You've been so busy for so long that stillness feels foreign. But if you can resist the urge to fill that space with new people to save, if you can sit with the emptiness and let it speak to you, something emerges. You start to remember who you are. Beyond the role of helper, beyond the mask of the capable one, there's a person with desires that have been ignored, talents that have been neglected, dreams that have been deferred. And when you turn your attention inward, when you devote to yourself the same care and energy you've been giving to everyone else, that person begins to awaken. This is what Jung called self-actualization. It's the process of becoming the fullest expression of who you truly are. And it cannot happen while you're merged with everyone else's problems. It requires separation. It requires boundaries. It requires the radical act of choosing yourself. The relationships that remain after you stop rescuing are the real ones, because they're not based on need, but on genuine connection. The people who stay are those who want to know you, not use you. The relationships that form are reciprocal, balanced, nourishing. And you discover something profound. You can only meet others as deeply as you've met yourself. When you've done your own inner work, when you've faced your own shadow, when you've integrated your own wounds, you no longer need to project onto others. You can see them clearly, not as projects to fix or victims to save, but as complete human beings on their own journey. And from that place, you can offer something far more valuable than rescuing. You can offer presence, witness, authentic support. The paradox that Jung pointed to again and again is this. When you stop trying to save everyone, you actually become more genuinely helpful, because your help is no longer contaminated by your need. Your gifts are no longer compulsively given. Your support comes from overflow, not depletion. And people can feel the difference. What becomes possible in your life when you reclaim your energy is extraordinary. The creative projects you've been putting off suddenly have space. The career change you've been afraid to make becomes possible. The relationship you've always wanted, one based on mutual respect and not rescuing, can finally form. The version of yourself you've glimpsed in quiet moments, the one who is powerful and authentic and free, begins to emerge. This is not selfish. This is sacred, because you only get one life, one precious, finite, irreplaceable life. And you cannot live it while you're busy living everyone else's. Jung spent his later years emphasizing this truth, that the goal of human existence is to become who you truly are, to individuate, to separate from the collective and discover your unique essence. And this cannot happen through service alone. It cannot happen through sacrifice. It can only happen through the courageous act of turning inward, facing yourself and choosing to live authentically. Your real life, the one that's been waiting for you all along, doesn't require you to save anyone. It requires you to save yourself. From the compulsion to rescue, from the need to be needed, from the belief that your worth is measured by how much you sacrifice, from all the ways you've abandoned yourself in the name of being there for others. And when you finally make that choice, when you finally drop the cape and step into your own life, everything transforms. Not just for you, for everyone around you. Because your freedom gives others permission to be free. Your boundaries teach others about respect. Your self-actualization shows others what's possible. This is the life that begins when you stop rescuing everyone. A life of authenticity, purpose, presence. A life where you're not running from yourself, but finally courageously coming home. If you're watching this video right now, it's not an accident. You know this. Something in you recognized that these words were for you. That this message arrived at the exact moment you needed to hear it. Because your soul has been trying to get your attention through the exhaustion that doesn't go away. Through the resentment that keeps building. Through the quiet voice that whispers, there has to be another way. And this video is part of that message, a reminder that you have a choice. You can continue the pattern, you can keep rescuing, keep sacrificing, keep abandoning yourself in the name of being there for others. And you know where that leads, you've been living it. More tiredness, more resentment, more years passing while your own life waits. Or you can choose differently. You can choose yourself. Not in a selfish way, but in a sacred way. You can choose to finally give yourself what you've been giving everyone else. Attention, care, energy, time. You can choose to let other people be responsible for their own lives while you take responsibility for yours. You can choose to stop playing God in everyone else's story and start living your own. This is the choice before you right now. And it's the most important choice you'll ever make. Jung believed that the psyche sends us what we need when we're ready to receive it. And if this video has touched something deep inside you, if it's articulated what you've been feeling but couldn't name, if it's challenged you in a way that feels both uncomfortable and necessary, then you're ready. Ready to stop rescuing, ready to start living, ready to begin your real life. So here's what I want you to do. Not for me, for you. Leave a comment below, just 3 words, I choose myself. Because when you name something, you invoke it. When you write it down, you make it real. This is your declaration. Your line in the sand. Your commitment to the transformation that's already begun. And if you found this video powerful, the next one is just as important. Because the journey inward doesn't end here. The process of reclaiming your life is just beginning. So click on the next video, continue this dive, keep listening to the call of your own soul. You've spent your whole life taking care of everyone else. Maybe it's time to come home to yourself. Your real life is waiting. And it begins the moment you stop rescuing everyone and start choosing you. See you in the next video.